Well, welcome back everybody. In this video, what we're going to be taking a look at is configuring Dynamic NAT on FTD. Now, in order for us to do this, we really need to go in and understand what kind of NAT we're trying to configure. So what I want to be able to do is I want R3 to be able to send traffic out towards R4 and get a reply back. But I want the traffic to look as if it's coming from 41.0.0.1 and not coming from R3. So I'm already on the NAT tab, which is devices, device management, or I'm sorry, devices, and then NAT, and then I will have to come in here and create a new policy. I can do that by clicking on the new policy here and going firepower threat defense NAT. You want to make sure that we're calling threat defense NAT and not firepower NAT. The reason why is because firepower would go onto the ASA, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and the name of the policy is going to be, I'm just going to call it FTD1 NAT, and I'll call this Dynamic NAT. I'll click on FTD1 and add the policy. I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. Now, what I will have to do is I will have to create the policy now. Now, the NAT rule is going to be created. And the way that the policy is going to be done is this is going to be what they refer to as an auto NAT. So we have three different ways of doing NAT. And there's three different sections to do it. The first section here is NAT rules before. The idea is you have what they call manual NAT or twice NAT, where you usually are going to configure some sort of static variation. If you have like a static NAT from the inside to the outside, or I'm sorry, from the outside to the inside, where you want to allow traffic from the internet or some other online resource to reach something internally. Or you want to prevent something from being NATed that's going to be VPN traffic. For example, site-to-site VPN traffic. You have auto NAT rules, which are going to be in the event that you want to allow internal users to reach the internet. So this would be R3 trying to reach R4, for example. And then you have NAT rules after, which is going to be after auto, where you're going to have rules that haven't matched on the manual NAT, rules that haven't matched on the auto NAT. Therefore, anything that happens after that, you want it to fall further down in the NAT processing capability. That's where you would put that. So what I'm going to go do is I'm going to add a rule. And this is going to be, I'm going to let it finish loading. We're going to go and say this is going to be an auto NAT rule. You notice by changing it from manual to auto, you can place it wherever you want, right? In the manual NAT, you can place it before or after. Here, when we go auto NAT, it automatically takes that option away, and it's automatically going to go in this area right here. So this is going to be a dynamic entry. And what we're going to do is we're going to say the original source. We don't really have a source per se inside of here, but what I will use is, since I'm using the 10 net, I can just say any 10/8 address. And this is the translation we're going to be working. So this is going to be matching the original source, and then what we're going to translate the traffic to. The address itself is going to be translated to, and there is nothing in here that I can really relate to, so I have to come here and destination interface IP address. The value selected for destination interface object in interface objects tab will be used. So the interface objects, if we say source and destination. So we have to make sure that the source is the inside and the destination is the outside. The translation will go ahead and map, and we're going to click on OK. Now what's going to end up happening is any traffic from the inside that goes to the outside will be automatically dynamically NATed, or a port address translation on a per flow basis, to the interface IP address of .41.0.0.1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, it says you have unsaved changes. I'm going to show warnings. There are none. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. I'm going to click the save button. Once that's done doing its thing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click deploy. And I will click on FTD and deploy. And then now it's going to go through the deploy process. If there was a problem, what would end up happening is there would be a syntax check or a logic check to make sure that there is no issues. and it should go right ahead and try to begin the process of deploying the NAT configuration to the FTD device. I'm going to go ahead and pause until this is done. I'll bring you guys back in here in just a minute. Alright, well, the deployment was successful, as you can see. I'm going to click off that now. So I'll come back over here and I'll type in show run NAT, and the NAT configuration will be object network IPv4 private 10/8, and then we can say NAT inside to outside dynamic interface. This would be no different than you configuring NAT on an ASA, or if you check the ASA video that I did where we configured AutoNAT or object-based NAT, that's where this would come into play. So I'm going to go ahead and now test the configuration for this. So I'm going to go back on here, and from R3 I'm going to ping 41.0.0.4 and see what happens. The ping worked all just fine. If we look at the show NAT, we should see that there was one hit. If we do a show connection long, right now there's no entry for it. But if I was to come in here and do a repeat of like 100 and hit the up arrow, too slow, let's add a 0. We should have an entry in the routing table, or I should say inside of the NAT table, the connection table, that says we're receiving traffic from the inside to the outside, and it's working just fine. Now if I was to go to R4 and I was to come up here and type in username is Rob with a privilege level of 15 and a password of Cisco, and type in line VTY 0 / 4 and type in login is local. The transport input is telnet or SSH, and then go back to R3 and type in telnet to 41.0.0.4, hit the enter key, and type in Rob and Cisco. We would see that we're going to have a telnet connection coming through. If we look at the show NAT, we're also going to have some NAT traffic going through as well. So this means, and you'll notice that the throughput is actually pretty good because we're going through a device that's got the capability of pushing a lot of data. You can get on these virtual firewalls, these FTD devices, you can get legit throughput. 30, 40, 50 meg is what I've tested, and they work quite well. So you could probably even do better than that. I've gotten 60, 70 megs, but that's only temporary. You're not going to get that unless you're licensing at some point in the future. Once you've hit your 90-day window, then I would assume that your speed would drop off. But that's basically how this works, and this proves that both NAT and the throughput are working. We can see that there's an active connection in the connection table right here. We can see that the NAT is working the way that it needs to, and everything is squared away. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you configure a dynamic NAT or object NAT or auto NAT on a FTD device. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.